I never thought my birthday would turn into a disaster. Everything was supposed to be perfect. The decorations, the food, the guests, everything was planned to make the night special. But I should have known better. It started with a small comment, something that didn't seem like a big deal at first. My fiancé, Ryan, and I had been together for 5 years. We were supposed to get married in a few months. He was charming, successful, and everyone loved him. Well, almost everyone. My best friend, Lisa, always had her doubts about him. She never said anything directly, but I could feel it. The way she looked at me when I talked about him, the way she avoided being alone with him. I ignored it for years, thinking she was just being overprotective. But that night, everything changed. The party was in full swing when Lisa arrived, a little late, but looking stunning in a red dress. She hugged me tightly and whispered, "Happy birthday, girl. I need to talk to you later." Her voice was serious, but I brushed it off. We laughed, we drank, and everything seemed normal, until Ryan made his toast. He stood up, smiling confidently, holding his glass of champagne. "To my beautiful fiancée," he said, "Emma, you are the love of my life. I can't wait to spend forever with you." People clapped, and I felt a warm glow inside. But then he added something else. "And let's not forget," he chuckled, "she almost married someone else before me. Guess third time's the charm, huh?" The room went silent. My heart dropped. Lisa's face darkened, and I saw her grip her glass tighter. Ryan laughed like it was a harmless joke, but I knew exactly what he was doing. He was bringing up my past, making it sound like I was careless with love. My first engagement had ended because my ex had cheated on me. My second engagement, well, that was a mistake I didn't like to talk about. And Ryan knew that. I forced a smile, but my hands were shaking. People were whispering, glancing at me with curious eyes. Lisa stood up suddenly, her voice sharp. "That's not funny, Ryan." The tension in the room became unbearable. I felt trapped, caught between my best friend and my fiancé. Ryan smirked. "Come on, Lisa. I'm just having fun. Emma knows I love her." Lisa turned to me. "Emma, can we talk? Now." I swallowed hard. I wanted to run away, to disappear. But I nodded. "Yeah, let's go." As we left the party and stepped onto the balcony, Lisa turned to me with fire in her eyes. "He's gaslighting you," she said. "Why do you let him talk to you like that?" I sighed. "Lisa, it was just a joke. He didn't mean." "No," she cut me off. "It wasn't a joke. He knew it would hurt you, and he still said it in front of everyone." I looked away, the city lights blurring in my vision. "I don't want to fight about this." Lisa grabbed my hands. "Emma, there's something I need to tell you. About Ryan." I froze. "What do you mean?" She took a deep breath. "I didn't want to ruin your birthday, but you need to know the truth." At that moment, the door swung open. Ryan stood there, his face unreadable. "What's going on here?" he asked. I looked at Lisa, then at Ryan, and suddenly, I wasn't sure if I wanted to hear what she had to say. Ryan's eyes moved between us, suspicion creeping into his voice. "What are you two talking about?" Lisa's grip on my wrist tightened, but I gently pulled away. My heart pounded in my chest. I didn't know what she was about to say, but I could feel it wasn't good. I forced a smile, trying to ease the tension. "Lisa just wanted to talk about something. It's not a big deal." Lisa scoffed. "Not a big deal." She turned to Ryan, her eyes sharp. "Why don't you tell her, Ryan? Or should I?" Ryan's face didn't change, but his jaw tensed slightly. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Lisa, this isn't the time or the place." Lisa crossed her arms. "There's never a right time to tell someone their fiancé is a liar, is there?" My stomach twisted. "Lisa, stop." My voice came out weaker than I wanted. She turned back to me. "Emma, please. Just listen to me for 1 minute." Ryan exhaled, shaking his head. "This is ridiculous. I'm not doing this here." He reached for my hand, his grip firm but not forceful. "Come inside. Let's not ruin your birthday over whatever drama Lisa is trying to start." Lisa's eyes widened. "Oh, you think I'm starting drama? You're the one keeping secrets." Ryan's expression darkened. "I have nothing to hide." Lisa let out a humorless laugh. Right. Then tell her about the woman you've been texting. The air left my lungs. My ears rang as the party noises faded behind me. I stared at Lisa, then at Ryan. He didn't flinch, but I saw something flicker in his eyes. I swallowed hard. What is she talking about? Ryan let go of my hand. This is stupid. Lisa pulled out her phone. I didn't want to do this, Emma, but you deserve to know. She tapped on the screen a few times before turning it toward me. This is Ryan's number, right? I barely nodded, my throat too dry to speak. Lisa scrolled through messages, stopping at a thread filled with texts I didn't recognize. The words blurred together, but a few stood out. Can't wait to see you again. Miss you. You looked so good last night. My stomach twisted into knots. No, I whispered. This can't be right. Ryan sighed. Emma, don't do this. Lisa is just trying to stir up trouble. You know how she is. Lisa snapped. Don't turn this around on me. She deserves the truth. Ryan stepped closer to me, his voice softer now. Emma, these texts could be fake. You know people can edit screenshots, right? Who knows where she got these from? Lisa's face flushed with anger. Oh, come on. You really expect her to believe that? She turned back to me. Emma, please. Don't let him manipulate you. My hands were shaking as I looked back at Ryan. So, is it true? Are you talking to someone else? Ryan hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. Something inside me cracked. I took a step back. You hesitated. Ryan's jaw tightened. Because I can't believe we're even having this conversation. Lisa is always looking for reasons to ruin things between us. You know that. Lisa scoffed. Oh, please. You're just mad you got caught. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. This is insane. Emma, think about it. Why would I do this? We're getting married in a few months. I love you. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to pretend none of this was happening. But the doubt had already settled in, spreading like poison. Lisa's voice was gentler now. Emma, I know this hurts, but don't ignore the signs. I felt the weight of every guest inside the party, laughing, drinking, celebrating, completely unaware that my world was falling apart just a few feet away. I forced myself to look at Ryan. If you have nothing to hide, show me your phone. His whole body stiffened. Lisa smirked. That's what I thought. Ryan exhaled, shaking his head. I'm not doing this. I'm not playing these stupid games. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. It's not a game, Ryan. It's our relationship. It's our future. He clenched his jaw, hesitating for another long moment before finally pulling his phone from his pocket. Fine. He unlocked it and handed it to me. For a second, I felt relief. Maybe Lisa was wrong. Maybe this was just a misunderstanding. But the moment I started scrolling, I knew the truth. I found the messages quickly. Not just one or two, but dozens. Some from weeks ago. Some from just a few days ago. Messages full of inside jokes, late-night conversations, and things no fiancé should be saying to another woman. My hands shook as I read through them. My vision blurred. Lisa's voice was quiet. I'm so sorry, Emma. Ryan reached for the phone, but I pulled it away. Who is she? My voice was barely above a whisper. Ryan ran a hand over his face. Emma. Who is she? I repeated, louder this time. He sighed, looking away. It's not what you think. I let out a hollow laugh. Oh, really? Because it looks exactly like what I think. The pain in my chest was unbearable. I had defended him, trusted him, planned a whole future with him, and he had been lying to me the entire time. Lisa's hand found my shoulder. You don't have to do this right now. We can go inside, we can. I shook my head. No, I need answers. Ryan finally looked at me, guilt all over his face. It was just texting. It didn't mean anything. A bitter taste filled my mouth. It didn't mean anything. Then why did you hide it? Silence. That was my answer. The door behind us opened again, and a few guests peeked outside, sensing the tension. The party wasn't a party anymore. It was a battlefield. I inhaled deeply, trying to steady myself. I looked at Ryan, really looked at him, and for the first time, I saw him for who he truly was. Not the man I thought I was going to marry, but someone I barely even knew. I took off my engagement ring and held it between us. If it didn't mean anything, then neither does this. And with that, I placed the ring in his hand and walked away. I didn't feel my legs moving, but I was already halfway down the street before I realized I was walking away from my own party. Away from my house, from my friends, from Ryan. Lisa was calling my name, but I couldn't stop. My whole body was buzzing, my chest tight with the weight of everything I had just seen. The messages, the lies, Ryan's hesitation. It wasn't just one mistake. It was weeks, maybe months, of deception. I turned a corner and leaned against a street lamp, my breath shaky. My hands were still trembling. I had never thought I would be the kind of woman to have a dramatic, ring-throwing breakup in front of a crowd. I had never thought Ryan would be the kind of man to cheat on me. Lisa caught up a few seconds later, panting. "Emma, wait." I wiped at my face, realizing I was crying. "I'm fine." Lisa gave me a look. "No, you're not." I let out a dry laugh. "Okay, yeah, I'm not." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I know this is horrible, but I need you to know. I didn't tell you to hurt you. I swear. I held up a hand. "I know. I can't believe this is happening." Lisa hesitated before pulling something out of her pocket. "You should see this too." She held up her phone again, scrolling to a different message thread. My stomach dropped when I saw the name at the top of the screen. Rachel. I blinked hard, sure I was imagining things. Rachel was Ryan's co-worker, the one he always said was annoying, the one he always joked about being too dramatic, too much of a gossip. I grabbed Lisa's phone with shaky hands, scanning the messages. "Rachel, she has no idea, does she?" "Ryan, no. And I don't want her to find out like this." "Rachel, like this? So you're planning to tell her eventually?" "Ryan, I don't know. It's complicated." My blood turned to ice. Ryan wasn't just texting some random woman. He was texting Rachel. Lisa exhaled slowly. "I found these a few days ago. I wasn't sure if I should show you, but after tonight..." I gripped the phone tighter. "How did you even get these?" Lisa hesitated. "Someone sent them to me. Anonymously." I looked up. "What?" Lisa nodded. "I don't know who it was, but I got a message from an unknown number with these screenshots. I think..." She swallowed hard. "I think someone wanted you to know the truth." My mind was spinning. If someone else knew about this, that meant it wasn't just texting. This wasn't some harmless mistake. This was a real, actual affair. I clenched my jaw, pushing off the street lamp. "I need to talk to Rachel." Lisa's eyes widened. "Emma, maybe we should." "No," I turned to her, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "I need to hear it from her. Now." Lisa hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, let's go." We walked fast, my heartbeat matching the rhythm of my steps. Lisa drove us to Rachel's apartment, a place I had been to once or twice when Ryan and I still did double dates with his co-workers. Back when I thought I knew the people in my life. Lisa parked, and I was out of the car before she could even turn off the engine. I marched to the door and knocked hard. No answer. I knocked again, harder. My pulse pounded in my ears. Lisa stepped beside me. Maybe she's not home. I didn't care. I knocked again. A few seconds later, the door finally creaked open. Rachel stood in the doorway, her expression shifting from confusion to panic the second she saw me. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days. Her blonde hair was messy, and she was wearing an oversized hoodie that didn't belong to her. My stomach churned. It was Ryan's. I stared at her, feeling something inside me snap. So it's true. Rachel didn't answer. Lisa crossed her arms. "You should probably start talking before Emma does something she regrets." Rachel swallowed hard. "Look, I stepped forward. Were you sleeping with him?" Rachel looked away. "Emma, just answer me." Rachel exhaled, shoulders slumping. "Yes." The world tilted. I had prepared myself for this answer, but hearing it out loud was something else. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Lisa cursed under her breath. "You're unbelievable." Rachel's eyes flickered to Lisa. "You think I wanted this to happen?" Lisa scoffed. "Oh, so you just accidentally tripped and fell into bed with your co-worker's fiancé?" Rachel's face twisted with guilt. It wasn't like that. I clenched my fists. Then explain it to me. Rachel hesitated. Ryan and we got close over the last few months. It started as just talking, venting about work, about life. But then things got complicated. I let out a humorless laugh. Complicated? That's what we're calling it. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. I never wanted to hurt you, Emma. I swear. I shook my head, stepping back. You already did. Rachel sniffed, wiping at her eyes. He told me he was going to leave you. The words hit me like a slap. Lisa gasped. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Rachel looked at me desperately. I didn't want to believe it at first, but he said you two were having problems, that you weren't happy. My body went cold. He had been planning to leave me. He had been lying to me for weeks, smiling in my face, acting like nothing was wrong. I took a shaky breath, forcing myself to stay standing. Rachel stepped closer. Emma, I'm so sorry. I held up a hand. I don't want your apology. I just want you to stay away from me. Rachel nodded, looking down. I understand. Lisa grabbed my arm gently. Come on, we're done here. I turned, walking away without another word. Lisa drove in silence for a few minutes before glancing at me. What do you want to do now? I stared out the window, my mind racing. Then slowly, I looked at Lisa. I want to make sure Ryan regrets this for the rest of his life. Lisa's lips curved into a slow, wicked smile. Now we're talking. And just like that, the heartbreak turned into something else entirely. Determination. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything over and over in my head. The party, the messages, Rachel's face when she admitted it. He was going to leave me. The words echoed in my skull, making my stomach twist. I had spent years with Ryan, built a life with him, and the whole time, he had been planning to throw it all away like it was nothing. By the time the sun came up, my exhaustion had turned into something sharper, colder. Lisa was waiting for me at a coffee shop when I walked in. She took one look at me and slid a large coffee across the table without a word. I took a sip, letting the heat burn down my throat, then exhaled. I want revenge. Lisa's lips twitched. I figured. I set my cup down, but I don't want something childish. I don't want to key his car or post screenshots online. I want something bigger. Lisa leaned forward, eyes gleaming. So what's the plan? I tapped my fingers against the table, thinking. He was going to leave me, right? He was probably waiting for the right moment. Lisa scoffed. Right, like a coward. I nodded. So let's take that moment away from him. Let's ruin his perfect little timeline. Lisa's smile widened. I like where this is going. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through old photos of us. Ryan was obsessed with his image. He cared what people thought. He wanted everyone to believe he was the perfect boyfriend, the perfect guy. If I could rip that mask off in front of everyone, it would kill him. I looked up at Lisa. His office has a big corporate event next week. It's a huge deal. All his bosses will be there. Lisa raised an eyebrow. And I smirked. And he's expecting me to be his perfect, supportive fiancé, standing next to him, smiling, playing the role. But instead, I think I'll show up with a different plan. Lisa grinned. Oh, I am so in. The next few days were a blur of planning. I gathered everything I needed, screenshots, emails, proof of his lies, every little detail that would make sure this hit him exactly where it hurt. The night of the event, I put on my best dress. Not the one Ryan liked, not the one he picked out for me. This was mine. I did my hair, my makeup, making sure I looked absolutely flawless. If I was going to burn his world down, I was going to look good doing it. Lisa met me outside the venue, wearing a sleek black dress and holding 2 glasses of champagne. Ready? She asked, handing me one. I took a sip, feeling the bubbles fizz on my tongue. More than ready. We walked inside together, weaving through the crowd. Ryan was across the room, laughing, shaking hands, playing his usual game. He hadn't seen me yet. Lisa leaned in. How do you want to do this? I took a deep breath. Wait for my signal. I walked straight toward him. The moment he saw me, His smile faltered. "Emma," he said, forcing a laugh. "Wow, you look stunning." I tilted my head. "Do I?" Something in my voice made his smile tighten. "Of course. I wasn't sure if you'd be here, after you know." I took a sip of champagne, letting the silence stretch. His boss turned to me with a polite smile. "Emma, lovely to see you. Ryan speaks so highly of you." I returned the smile. "Oh, does he?" Ryan shot me a look, but I ignored it. His boss chuckled. "He's always saying how lucky he is. How he couldn't have done this without you." I raised an eyebrow. "Is that so?" Ryan cleared his throat. "Babe, can I talk to you for a second?" I held up a hand. "Actually, I have something I'd like to say first." Ryan's eyes widened slightly. "Emma." I turned to his boss. "You know, it's funny. Ryan really is lucky. Not just in his career, but in love too." Ryan stiffened. "Emma." I ignored him. "I mean, he's so charming. So good at juggling things. His job, his fiancée, his co-worker." Silence fell over the table. Ryan paled. "That's enough." I smiled sweetly. "Oh, is it? Because I don't think Rachel thought so when she was wearing your hoodie last week." Gasps. Murmurs. People shifting, eyes darting between us. Ryan's boss frowned. "Ryan, what is she talking about?" Ryan let out a strained laugh. "Nothing. She's just upset." Lisa stepped forward, holding up her phone. "Oh, it's not nothing. Would you like to see the proof?" Ryan turned red. "Lisa, don't." But it was too late. She pressed play, and Ryan's own words filled the air. "I don't know. It's complicated. She has no idea. I don't want her to find out like this." The room was dead silent. Ryan looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. His boss's face darkened. Rachel, standing in the corner, looked like she was about to throw up. I exhaled slowly, then set my empty glass down. Well, that was fun. Then I turned and walked away. Lisa followed, laughing under her breath. "Emma, that was legendary." I grinned, my heart pounding. "I know." As we stepped outside, I felt something I hadn't felt in days. Relief. Ryan had spent months lying, sneaking around, planning his perfect little escape. But I had beaten him to it. He wasn't leaving me. I was leaving him, and I was doing it on my terms. I woke up the next morning feeling lighter than I had in months. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was carrying a secret or waiting for a disaster to hit me. I had burned everything down myself, on purpose, and I had no regrets. Lisa called me before I even got out of bed. "You are all over social media," she said, her voice practically vibrating with excitement. "Someone at the event recorded it. It's everywhere. People are calling you a legend." I blinked at the ceiling, trying to process that. "Wait, what?" "Check your phone." I opened my notifications, and sure enough, my inbox was full. Messages from old college friends, co-workers, even random strangers. And then I saw the video. Someone had recorded the whole thing, me, standing there in that perfect dress, smiling while I ripped Ryan's world apart. The comments were a mix of shock, support, and pure entertainment. She really just exposed him like that in front of his boss? Iconic. He really thought he could get away with it? LMAO. Hope she takes everything in the breakup. I scrolled, half in disbelief, half amused. Lisa was still talking. Ryan's probably losing his mind right now. I stretched, feeling a slow, satisfied grin creep across my face. Good. And then, as if the universe was listening, my phone rang. Ryan. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. Then again. Lisa sighed. "Are you going to talk to him?" I sat up, rubbing my temples. "Eventually. I just want to enjoy this moment a little longer." Lisa laughed. "Fair enough. Call me when you're ready for the next step." I hung up and stared at my phone. I knew I couldn't avoid him forever. So, after a deep breath, I called him back. He answered immediately. "Emma." His voice was tight, exhausted. "We need to talk." I leaned back against my pillows. "Do we?" His frustration was almost palpable. "You humiliated me." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to let you humiliate me first?" "My mistake." He let out a breath. Can we just meet? Please. I considered it. There was a part of me that wanted to see him, just to witness his discomfort. But there was another part that was just tired. Fine, I said. 1 hour. The cafe near my apartment. When I arrived, Ryan was already there, sitting at a corner table. He looked awful. Dark circles under his eyes, jaw tense. For a brief second, I felt a flicker of something almost like sympathy. And then I remembered everything. I sat down across from him, folding my hands neatly on the table. So, Ryan exhaled, rubbing his temples. Emma, I screwed up. I know I did. But what you did last night, do you have any idea how that affected me? I gave him a flat look. I really don't care. His jaw clenched. I lost a huge promotion because of you. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Oh, Ryan, you lost that promotion because of yourself. You're the one who had an affair with a co-worker. I just sped up the consequences. He looked away, shaking his head. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. That made me snap. Oh, really? Then how was it supposed to happen, Ryan? Were you going to sit me down one day? Tell me you just weren't happy anymore? Were you going to act like this was all some mistake, not something you planned for months? He didn't answer. I stared at him, feeling something inside me harden. You weren't just going to leave me. You were going to break me. And you expected me to just sit there and let it happen. He ran a hand down his face. I wasn't thinking. I scoffed. No, you were thinking. You just weren't thinking about me. Silence stretched between us. Finally, Ryan exhaled. What do you want? I tilted my head. Excuse me. He gestured vaguely. From me. What do you want? Do you want me to apologize? To beg? Just tell me what will make you feel better. That made me pause. Once upon a time, I might have wanted that. Might have wanted him to fall to his knees, to cry, to regret everything. But now, sitting here, looking at him, I realized I didn't care anymore. I didn't want an apology. I didn't want him to suffer. I just wanted to move on. So I leaned forward, resting my elbows on the table. I want you to leave me alone. Ryan blinked. What? I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I don't want revenge, Ryan. I already got it. I don't want to fight over who gets what, or drag this out longer than necessary. I just want to be done with you. He swallowed. So that's it. I nodded. That's it. For a moment, he looked like he wanted to argue, but then he just sighed, slumping back in his chair. Okay. I stood up, grabbing my bag. Goodbye, Ryan. I walked away, and for the first time in forever, I didn't look back. As soon as I stepped outside, I took a deep breath. The weight that had been on my chest for months was finally gone. Lisa texted me the second I got back to my apartment. How did it go? I smirked, typing back. It's over. And this time I meant it. 2 days after my final conversation with Ryan, I woke up to another message from Lisa. This time, it wasn't just a text. It was a link. Ryan's engagement announcement. I stared at my phone, my stomach flipping. The post was everywhere. Ryan and Madison, all smiles. Her hand flashing a ring that looked suspiciously similar to the one I used to wear. I guess she was the one all along. Ring can't wait to spend forever with you. I almost dropped my phone. 1,000 emotions hit me at once. Anger. Disbelief. A twisted sort of amusement. The sheer audacity of it. Lisa called before I even had time to process. Emma, are you seeing this? Oh, I'm seeing it. She huffed. That's insane. 2 days. 2. He didn't even pretend to be heartbroken. I let out a short laugh. I think he just wanted the last word. Lisa scoffed. And what does Madison think? She's fine being the rebound. I had no idea. But then again, maybe she wasn't the rebound. Maybe she had been the plan all along. For a second, I felt a sting of something like humiliation. Like I had been nothing more than a stepping stone in Ryan's perfect little life. Then, that feeling was quickly replaced by something else. Freedom. Because if Ryan had already moved on, it meant I could too. Lisa must have sensed my shift in mood. Are you okay? I exhaled. Yeah, actually, I think I am. You're not gonna do something crazy, right? I smirked. Lisa, please. When have I ever done something crazy? She groaned. Emma, relax. I'm not going to throw another public spectacle. I already had my fun. Lisa sighed. Okay, just promise me you won't let this get to you. I smiled. It won't. And for once, I meant it. I spent the rest of the day focusing on myself. I booked a spa appointment. I took myself out for lunch. I even went on a long walk, just enjoying the fresh air, not thinking about Ryan or Madison or their perfect little engagement. But, of course, the universe had other plans. That evening, as I was coming back to my apartment, I saw someone standing by the entrance. At first, I didn't recognize him. He had a baseball cap pulled low, hands shoved into his pockets. But as I got closer, I froze. Ryan. For a split second, I considered turning around and walking the other way. But I was done running. So I squared my shoulders, walked up to him, and raised an eyebrow. Really? This again? He looked up, and for the first time, I saw something in his face I hadn't expected. Regret. I didn't know where else to go, he admitted. I folded my arms. What do you want, Ryan? He exhaled. I don't know. I let out a dry laugh. Well, that's honest, at least. He ran a hand down his face. Emma, he stopped, looking away. I didn't think it would feel like this. I tilted my head. Feel like what? His jaw clenched, like I made a mistake. A sharp, bitter laugh escaped me. Oh, Ryan, you didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. His eyes met mine, something desperate in them. I know I screwed up. I thought this was what I wanted. I thought. I held up a hand. Ryan, stop. He swallowed. I took a deep breath. You don't get to do this. You don't get to tell me you miss me. Not after everything. He looked down. I continued. You had me. You had everything. And you threw it away. You don't get to be sad now just because you realize the grass isn't greener. Silence stretched between us. Then, finally, he let out a breath. You're right. I blinked. What? He looked up, giving me a tired, defeated smile. You're right. I don't get to do this. I don't know. I guess I wanted to see if you hated me. I exhaled. Ryan, I don't hate you. Surprise flickered across his face. I gave him a small shrug. I don't forgive you either. But I don't hate you. I just don't care anymore. And that, I realized, was the truth. Ryan nodded slowly. I guess that's fair. I took a step back. Goodbye, Ryan. This time, when I walked away, I knew this was really the last time. And it felt damn good. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter than I had in months. Ryan showing up at my door had been unexpected, but instead of pulling me back into his mess, it had done the opposite. It had closed the door for good. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel weighed down by anger or sadness. There was nothing left to grieve, nothing left to hold on to. Lisa called around noon, probably to check if I had burned Ryan's apartment down or something. You sound weird, she said after I answered. I raised an eyebrow even though she couldn't see me. Weird how? I don't know. Too calm. I smiled. That's because I am calm. There was a beat of silence. Then, wait, did you kill him? I laughed. No, Lisa. He's very much alive. Huh. Well, that's unexpected. I rolled my eyes. I just don't care anymore. And honestly, that feels better than anything else. Lisa let out a low whistle. Damn. Look at you. All emotionally mature and stuff. I know. Gross, right? She snorted. So what's next? You're finally gonna let me set you up? I groaned. Lisa, come on. You're single. You're hot. You're mentally stable. Well, mostly. It's time. I sighed. I don't know if I'm ready for all that. Lisa made an exaggerated noise of frustration. Okay, fine. No setup. But you should at least do something fun. Something to remind yourself that life isn't just about breakups and cheating exes. She had a point. All right, I said. Let's do something. Lisa perked up. Really? Yeah. Let's go out tonight. Somewhere fun. Somewhere we can actually enjoy ourselves. Lisa gasped dramatically. Who are you? And what have you done with my emotionally exhausted best friend? I laughed. Just shut up and pick a place. Lisa didn't waste any time. By the time the evening rolled around, she had already planned everything. We ended up at some rooftop bar downtown. The kind of place that was overpriced but had great views and even better cocktails. It was exactly what I needed. For the first time in forever, I wasn't thinking about Ryan. I wasn't thinking about Madison. I wasn't thinking about anything except the music, the warm night air, and the ridiculous stories Lisa was telling me. I was mid-laugh when a voice interrupted. Emma. I turned, expecting to see someone I vaguely knew from college or work. Instead, my stomach dropped. Jason, Ryan's best friend, or at least, he used to be. He looked as surprised to see me as I was to see him. Lisa glanced between us, immediately sensing the shift in energy. Jason recovered quickly, offering a small smile. Wow, it's been a while. I nodded slowly. Yeah, it has. For a second, I didn't know what to say. Jason had always been a neutral party in all of this. He and Ryan had been close, but he had never really taken sides. After the breakup, he had just disappeared from my life. I didn't blame him. It wasn't his fight. But now, seeing him again, I couldn't help but wonder what he knew. Jason scratched the back of his neck. Oh, listen, can I buy you a drink? Lisa shot me a look, silently asking if I wanted her to intervene. But I was curious, so I nodded. Sure. Jason ordered our drinks, and we moved to a quieter corner of the bar. For a moment, he just studied me. You look good, he said finally. I raised an eyebrow. Thanks. He chuckled. I mean it. You seem different. I tilted my head. That's because I am. Jason nodded slowly. Yeah, I can see that. I sipped my drink. So, you still talk to Ryan? Jason hesitated, then sighed. Not really. That surprised me. What happened? I asked. Jason exhaled. Ryan's not the guy I thought he was. I blinked. Jason continued. I didn't know about Madison. Not until after. He never told me. And when I found out, he shook his head. I just couldn't respect him after that. I stared at him. I swallowed. You really didn't know? Jason's jaw tightened. Emma, if I had known, I would have told you. You deserve to know. I studied his face, looking for any sign of a lie. But there was nothing. Just quiet sincerity. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. Wow, I muttered. Jason ran a hand down his face. Yeah. For a moment, we just sat there, both lost in thought. Then Jason exhaled. I know this is probably weird, me bringing this up now. But I always felt like I should have said something. After everything. I looked at him. Why now? Jason hesitated. Then finally he said, because I saw how he looked at you that night. I frowned. What do you mean? Jason gave me a sad smile. When he showed up at your place. I know Ryan. I've known him for years. And I've never seen him look like that before. I swallowed. Jason leaned forward slightly. I don't know if it matters. I don't even know if you care. But whatever he thought he wanted. He shook his head. It wasn't her. I let out a slow breath. Then I met Jason's eyes. Doesn't change anything, I said quietly. Jason nodded. I know. And yet, somehow, the words still lingered. I woke up the next morning with a slight headache, but it wasn't from drinking. It was from overthinking. Jason's words had been playing in my head all night. Whatever he thought he wanted, it wasn't her. What was I supposed to do with that? Ryan had already made his choice. He had already ruined everything. Knowing that he might have regretted it didn't change anything. It didn't erase the pain, the betrayal, the humiliation. And yet, it still sat there, lodged in my mind like a splinter I couldn't quite remove. Lisa was already awake when I walked into the kitchen. She was sitting at the table, eating cereal straight from the box while scrolling through her phone. She glanced up at me and smirked. You look like someone who just found out their ex still wants them. I groaned. Please don't. She popped another handful of cereal into her mouth. I mean, technically, Jason didn't say that, but we both know that's what he meant. I slumped into a chair. It doesn't matter. Lisa arched an eyebrow. Doesn't it? I shot her a glare. She held up her hands in surrender. All right. I'll drop it. I sighed and rubbed my temples. I don't want to care anymore. Lisa softened. Then don't. I scoffed. Easier said than done. She leaned forward. Look, I know it's hard, but you've come so far. You're not that girl who let Ryan walk all over her anymore. And whatever his regrets are, that's his problem, not yours. I exhaled slowly. She was right. I knew she was right, but that didn't mean it was easy. Later that day, I decided I needed a distraction, something to get me out of my own head. So I went out, ran errands, grabbed coffee, did anything I could to keep myself busy. And for the most part, it worked. Until I got home and saw the missed call. Ryan. I stared at his name on my screen, my stomach twisting. He hadn't left a voicemail. No text, either. Just a call. I should have ignored it. I should have deleted his number and moved on with my day. Instead, I found myself dialing back before I could stop myself. The phone rang twice before he picked up. Emma. I closed my eyes. His voice. It was the same. Familiar in a way that made my chest ache. I swallowed. You called me. A pause. Yeah. Silence stretched between us. I gripped my phone tighter. Why? Ryan exhaled. I don't know. I clenched my jaw. Not a great answer. He let out a soft, humorless laugh. No, I guess it's not. I waited. Ryan sighed. I keep thinking about the other night. I stayed quiet. I shouldn't have come, he admitted. I knew it would only make things worse, but I couldn't stop myself. I closed my eyes. Ryan, I miss you. My heart lurched. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Because what was I supposed to say to that? Ryan let out a shaky breath. I know I don't deserve anything from you. Not even this phone call. But he stopped. I don't know how to let you go. I squeezed my eyes shut. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to tell him that he was the one who let me go. That he was the one who destroyed everything. But instead, all I could say was, you have to. Ryan inhaled sharply. Emma. No, I cut him off. You have to. Silence. I swallowed against the lump in my throat. You made your choice, Ryan. And I had to live with it. Now you do too. His breath hitched. For a moment, I thought he might fight it. That he might say something to try and change my mind. But he didn't. He just let out a quiet, broken, okay. And then he hung up. I stared at my phone for a long time after that. Then finally, I put it down. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't pick it back up. The days that followed felt strangely empty. I had spent so long being angry at Ryan, hating him for what he did, imagining all the ways I would tell him off if I ever got the chance. And then I had nothing left to say. It should have been freeing. It should have felt like closure. But instead, it left this weird, hollow feeling in my chest, like I had let go of something I didn't even realize I was still holding on to. Lisa noticed. Of course, she did. You're thinking too much, she said one night while we were sitting on my couch, watching a show we weren't really paying attention to. I sighed. I'm always thinking too much. She nudged my shoulder. Then let's do something stupid. I gave her a side eye. Define stupid. She grinned. Let's go out. Let's get drunk. Let's flirt with random guys and make bad decisions. I laughed. That sounds like a disaster. Exactly, she said. Which is why we should do it. I hesitated. The old me would have said no immediately. But maybe the old me needed to shut up for a while. So we went out. The bar was packed, the music loud, the energy chaotic in a way that should have been overwhelming. But for the first time in a long time, I wanted to be part of it. Lisa wasted no time dragging me to the dance floor. Tonight, we are not sad, she declared over the music. Tonight, we are hot and single and living our best lives. I laughed, but I let her pull me into the crowd. And for a while, I actually forgot about everything. I let myself get lost in the music, in the mindless fun of dancing with strangers, in the easy thrill of catching a guy's eye from across the room and knowing I didn't owe him a damn thing. But then I felt it. That weird, heavy feeling. Like someone was watching me. I turned my head, and there he was. Ryan, standing near the bar, staring right at me. My stomach dropped. Lisa followed my gaze and groaned. Oh, hell no. I forced myself to breathe. What is he even doing here? Lisa crossed her arms. Being a pathetic, lovesick idiot? I swallowed hard. Ryan hadn't seen me like this in well ever. I had never been the type to go out, to drink, to dance with random guys just for the hell of it. But tonight, I wasn't the girl he used to know, and I could tell by the look on his face that he noticed. He pushed away from the bar and started walking toward me. Lisa grabbed my arm. Do you want me to handle this? I shook my head. No, I didn't know what I was going to say, but I knew I had to be the one to say it. Ryan stopped in front of me, his jaw tight, his eyes searching mine. Emma. I lifted my chin. Ryan. He glanced around, taking in the scene. This isn't really your thing. I let out a sharp laugh. Maybe you don't know me as well as you think you do. Something flickered in his eyes. Emma, can we just... No, I cut him off. We can't. He tensed. Ryan, stop. My voice was steady, even though my heart was racing. You don't get to do this. You don't get to cheat on me, throw everything away, and then act like you have a right to be jealous. His jaw clenched. I'm not jealous. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, really? He exhaled through his nose. Okay, maybe I am, but that's not the point. I crossed my arms. Then what is the point? He hesitated. I don't know. I stared at him, waiting. He ran a hand through his hair. I don't know how to stop wanting you. My breath caught. For a second, just one stupid, weak second, I almost let myself believe him. Almost. But then I remembered what Jason had said. Whatever he thought he wanted, it wasn't her. And I realized something. Ryan didn't want me. He wanted the version of me that forgave him. The version that let him back in. The version that made it easy for him to pretend like his mistakes didn't have consequences. And I wasn't that girl anymore. I took a deep breath. That's not my problem. His face fell. Emma. No, I said firmly. I'm done, Ryan. He swallowed hard. So that's it. I nodded. That's it. He looked like he wanted to argue. Like he wanted to say something that would change my mind. But I had already changed. And this time, I was the one walking away. I turned back to Lisa, who was watching with a mix of pride and relief. Ready to go? I asked. She grinned. Hell yes. And just like that, I left Ryan behind. For real this time. The days that followed felt surreal. It was like I had crossed some invisible line, leaving the old me behind. But the new me, this stronger, sharper version, wasn't quite as comfortable in her skin as I had hoped. The world seemed to have shifted somehow, leaving me uncertain, unsure of what to do with all this freedom I had just reclaimed. I tried to keep busy, to focus on work and distractions. But when the quiet moments hit, when I was left alone with my thoughts, the weight of everything came crashing down. The loneliness that had been waiting in the background of my mind started to creep forward. I didn't miss Ryan, not in the way that I once would have, but I missed the version of myself that had been a part of him. The one that wasn't so guarded, so determined to protect myself. It was stupid. I knew that. But it didn't make the feeling go away. Lisa could see it, of course. She always did. She had this sixth sense for when I was hiding behind a smile or pretending to be fine. Hey, we're going out tonight, she announced one evening as I was going through emails on my phone. Get your ass ready. I glanced up, already knowing where this was going. Not tonight, Lise. I'm tired. She gave me a pointed look. Nope. You've been tired for days. You're coming out with me tonight, whether you like it or not. I groaned. I'm really not in the mood to play happy-go-lucky right now. She raised an eyebrow. Didn't say you had to play it, but I'm dragging you out, and you're going to have fun, even if I have to make you. I knew I wasn't going to win this battle, and honestly, I didn't want to. A part of me was desperate for the distraction. Maybe it was time to stop wallowing. We went to the same bar as last time, but this time, the energy felt different. It wasn't the chaotic rush of emotions I'd felt when I had seen Ryan there, but it was still something. Something alive and electric. like the buzz of possibility in the air. We found a spot by the bar, and Lisa wasted no time getting us drinks. "You're going to be fine," she said, handing me a glass of something that was probably stronger than I realized. I took a sip, the alcohol warm in my throat. "I'm not sure about that," I muttered. Lisa didn't listen to me. She just rolled her eyes and led me to the dance floor. "Don't think. Just move," she said, grabbing my hand and spinning me into the crowd. At first, I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't used to dancing without a purpose, without some thought about how I looked or whether or not anyone was watching. But as the music blared in my ears and the lights flickered in time with the beat, something shifted. I stopped thinking. I just let go. The rhythm of the music took over, and for the first time in weeks, I felt free. The tension in my shoulders melted away, and for a few minutes, I could forget everything. Ryan, the hurt, the anger. It was just me, the music, and the way my body felt alive in the movement. Lisa had found herself a guy to flirt with, and I was left to my own devices, dancing and feeling lighter than I had in so long. That was when I noticed him. He was standing near the bar, watching me. At first, I tried to brush it off. After all, it wasn't unusual for people to stare at others in a club, but there was something about the way his gaze lingered that made me pause. It wasn't just the casual glance of someone checking out a stranger. It felt different. He was studying me, his eyes intense, and for a moment, I couldn't tear my gaze away. The moment passed, and I told myself to keep moving, to enjoy the night. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something familiar about him. He didn't look like anyone I knew, but there was a sense of recognition in the way he looked at me, like I should know him. I turned away, but my curiosity got the best of me. I glanced back over my shoulder, and to my surprise, he was still looking at me, almost like he was waiting for me to notice. And when I did, he raised his hand in a small, hesitant wave. My heart skipped a beat. There was something magnetic about him, something that pulled me in despite my better judgment. I took a deep breath and moved through the crowd, making my way toward the bar. I wasn't sure why, but something in me knew I had to find out who he was. When I got close, he leaned against the bar, his drink in his hand, looking calm and collected despite the chaos around him. His eyes met mine with that same knowing look, and this time he smiled. "Hi," he said, his voice smooth, almost a little too confident. "You're a good dancer." I blinked, a little thrown off by his directness. "Thanks," I said, my voice coming out a little breathier than I intended. "You were watching me?" He chuckled. "You've got a presence. Hard not to notice." I felt a little self-conscious at that. I didn't realize I was putting on a show. "Not a show," he said, his smile widening. "Just you're different. In a good way." I didn't know what to say to that, but the compliment made me feel both flattered and slightly off balance. He was still looking at me like he was trying to figure me out, and it was making my pulse race in a way I hadn't expected. "I'm Alex," he said after a moment. "Emma," I replied, trying to act casual. "Nice to meet you." He raised an eyebrow. "So, you're here to forget something too?" I wasn't sure if that was a personal question or just an offhand remark, but I couldn't help but laugh. "Maybe. You want to forget, but you're still here. That tells me something." He took a sip of his drink, eyes still on me. I wasn't sure if I wanted to know what he thought it meant, but somehow I didn't mind the attention. "Not tonight. Tell you what," Alex continued, leaning in slightly. "How about I buy you a drink, and we'll see if we can't figure out what we're both trying to forget?" I paused, considering it. A part of me knew I wasn't really looking for anything, but another part, the part that was tired of being stuck in the past, wanted to see where this could go. I nodded, the decision almost made for me. "Sure, why not?" And just like that, I let myself fall into the moment.
Thank you very much for watching. Did you like this story? Like, subscribe, and write a comment about your opinion.